It's really just, thanks Prathana for starting to record. So welcome everyone to this session. We've got the different members of the regional committee who are joining today, but also Grace Ann from the nominations committee. We'd really like to welcome you, and I guess this session is a time to share a little bit about what the regional committee role looks like for those that might be interested or just wanted to learn and know more. But more than anything, it's a space to ask questions and for us to be able to give you any answers or help clarify things that people might want to know about what it's like to be on the regional committee. What does the regional committee do? What does the nominations process look like? All of those things. So today in this call, you've got myself, Bronwyn Hughes from Australia, who's the chair of the Asia Pacific Regional Committee. Did everyone else want to introduce themselves too? Champaka, did you want to say hello?
Hello everyone, so I'm Champaka and I'm from Malaysia.
Thank you, Cham. Prathana, did you want to introduce yourself too?
Yeah. Hello everyone, greetings. I'm Prathana Lianage from Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thanks, Prathana. Aya, did you want to say hello?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Aya Inara from Japan.
Thanks, Aya. And we have Maya.
Hello, I'm Maya from Nepal. So good to see you.
Thanks for joining us, Maya. And we also have Grace Ann, if you want to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Grace Ann Critchlow, Chair of the Nominations Committee. It's really a pleasure to be with you here in the Asia Pacific region today.
So thanks everyone for joining us. What we're going to do in the call today is give you a little bit of information about what does the regional committee do, what does our roles look like, how do we divide up the work and what responsibilities we each have. But then after that, we'll open up for if anyone has any questions or things they want to ask or find out about the regional committee as well. So I'll get started. So first is to give you an overview of the role of the regional committee. And the regional committee is responsible for a few different things. So the key thing we're responsible for is developing and implementing the regional action plan for the triennium. And the purpose of this regional action plan is it supports the enactment of the WAG's global themes, strategies and policies as supported by the World Board. We also have a role to strengthen member organisations according to their needs. And this comes from the capacity building assessment tool process that member organisations go through, but also through member MO engagement surveys and through conversations that we have with our member organisations to identify what needs do our member organisations have in the AP region, and then building and delivering a plan to help support member organisations in those different areas, which during COVID, as we know, there's been a lot of challenges that member organisations have gone through. So that's been what we've been working to do. How do we support through that period? We're also responsible for implementing the decisions made at regional conferences. And so what that looked like for us in this triennium was looking at language accessibility across the AP region. It also looked at how we ensure we have young women in governance in the AP region. So these have been some of the things that have been part of our plan for this year, this triennium, sorry. And then we also provide input based on a regional perspective to the World Board. So part of my role as the chair is that I also sit on the World Board, and sometimes we're asked to, well, we share what's happening in the AP region with the World Board, but we also give that perspective and provide input to conversations about what might be happening in the Asia Pacific region. All right, we'll move on to the next bit, which Champaka is going to share.
Thanks, Bron. So in the past, we have been asked roughly how much time do we spend working on regional committee matters. So here is the committee ways of work. We have one to two regular committee meetings per month. And for each meeting, it normally lasts for about 2 hours. And this is being done via Zoom. And in addition to that, the chair and sometimes the vice chair, they also have weekly meetings with the regional coordinator. And this takes place for also approximately about 2 hours. And in addition to these meetings, we communicate via email, via WhatsApp, and the committee tracks tasks and projects using the platform, the Notion platform. And also the number of hours that each member of the committee delivers to the region will vary depending on the portfolio and what activities are being delivered. So that's the number of the amount of time that we normally take with regards to regional committee matters, which I think is doable. So yeah, thank you. Over to Pratana.
Thank you, Champaka. So I will talk about the portfolio areas. So each committee member has their own portfolio area, and it is not one area, it's a combination of few areas. And these areas are the ones that the current committee, we have come up with the thinking it's important for us to have these areas, and we have come up with these areas. And the new committee, if they think that there is more areas or less areas, they can decide on the areas. And also depending on the portfolio area, committee member might need to manage their work with individually or with a team of volunteers to support in delivering these activities. So for an example, my portfolio area is Friends of Asia Pacific WAGs. I coordinate with the Friends of Asia Pacific, being the licensed person, and I do my area. One of my other area is finance and fund development as well. So I coordinate these and like look after these portfolio areas. And now I will pass it on to Maya to explain about the committee contents. Maya, over to you.
Thank you, Prathana. So yeah, we have, as a regional committee members, each member has been assigned not more than 5 MOs in the Asia Pacific region. And this actually is to help foster the relation between the regional committee and the MOs. Actually, each committee member also acts as the key contact points for a number of AP member organization. It doesn't exceed 5, more than 5. And between the committee country contacts, in short, we call CCC. So I'm the CCC of India, Bangladesh, Maldives, like that. So each one of us have the special relation with the MOs in the AP region. So we conduct meetings with MOs whenever required or wherever required. So we support member organizations and capacity assessment tool completion. And that is with the help of the support of CAP mentors and stage across capacity building needs and delivery of support. And of course, whenever the regional decisions are like transformed to MOs, and if there is any kind of questions or if there is any kind of query, or if they want to know anything more about what is happening in the region, or if they want to have in-person communication with the committee people, then that's the CCC of the committee with whom they can have close communication whenever and wherever they want. So CCC seems to have a good role in the committee itself. So answering questions and keeping in contact to support MO needs. This is what the CCC has been doing in the region. Thank you. Up to you, Aya.
Yes. Okay, and this is our role. So we are sharing our role because we have many roles. And for example, for me, I am a CCC committee contact person for Myanmar, Thailand, Korea, and Mongolia, and Taiwan. And I'm charged of the AP Leadership Awards and Girl Guides and the Girl Scouts experience. Sorry, it's very small slide. You can see that. and Agile Development Framework. So like this, we have many roles and we have some roles for each. Okay, I will pass you, Bron.
Thank you. Yes, we just wanted to share this diagram so you get a bit of the idea of how we work currently as a committee and how we have divided up the different responsibilities that we have as part of our role. So that was all we wanted to present to you today. We now wanted to have some time to open up and answer any questions. This could be anything that you want to know or you want to ask us about being regional committee members, whether that's personal or about the work that we do. And then also we have Grace Ann here as well if anyone has any questions about the nominations process or what it's like to apply to nominate to be a regional committee and what the process looks like. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but then we have time for some questions. You can either put those questions in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, you can speak and let us know the questions. I'll have a question for the rest of the committee while we're waiting to start. What is your favorite part about being a regional committee member? Who wants to share? Oh, Prathana, I can see you're speaking, but you're on mute.
Yes, my favorite part is actually coordinating with all our MOs and trying to see what they would like to have, like the support they need, and trying to support them as the regional committee and looking at their ways of work and like being with our member organizations. That's the best part, being a committee member for me. Thank you, bro.
Anyone else want to share what their favorite part is?
I agree with Pratana, actually. I mean, like, there's many things enjoyable about being a committee member, but one of the more enjoyable ones would be the connection that we get to foster with the MOs that we are looking after or working with as such. And it's interesting to learn what challenges they face and perhaps come together with possible solutions on how to overcome the challenges, and also to share all their successes and their joy in the past 3 years that we've been the CCC for them. Yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Did you want to
We
share?
have a question.
Yes, we'll take the question after everyone shares, right? That might be.
Yeah, you share, Maya. What do you most like about being regional committee member?
To know the diversity in the AP region, about the strength, about the opportunities, and of course, the problems as well. Because we are all in AP region, but all AP MOs are not the same. And they have different kind of issues. And the way one MOs find one issue is different with another MO. So to know about these issues is something very interesting. And then we all have been together to talk about those issues and then find out or come out with a solution, like the best way how we can deliver our support to those MOs is something which I have been enjoying in this committee. So as a committee, as a team, I think like during the COVID or like even now, we are so much talking and we are so much dedicated and we are so much like, we have been so much agile as well, because we had not expected to stay apart so long being in a platform. and then thinking and working for the MOs itself. So yeah, this is something I feel like it's a boon to be in the regional committee of the AP. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Maya. Did you want to share your favorite thing, Aya?
Yes, these 3 years we cannot do the event on face-to-face, but we have many webinar. In the webinar, I love events. So in webinar, I met many participants from AP region, especially young women. So the young women share their experience and their power. So I think we have the good and very special young women in AP. It's very, in our future, it's very bright, I think. So in event, I can meet many participants, especially young women. It's my favorite in my work.
Yeah, thank you, Aya. I was going to say something very similar. I think my favorite thing has been working with the young women, particularly looking at young women in governance and how we have those conversations in WAGs about how we have more young women in leadership roles in our organisation, and working towards achieving that in our member organisations, but also in WAGs. And I think it has been great to have so many amazing young women who are very interested in leading in the region, which is amazing. And I think the other favorite thing for me has been building an amazing team of people who get to work with together. So we have our regional committee, but we also have a great team of AP volunteers who support the region as well. And getting to work with everybody as a great team, even though we haven't gotten to meet face to face, getting to spend time together online, and some of that is working, but also having fun with each other as well has been another favorite part for me as being part of the regional committee. So I can see Alice asked us a question, which is, what is difficult about being a regional committee member? So I'm happy to answer this one first, but then other people could share as well. So there's probably, I might share one kind of professional thing and one personal thing about what's challenging about being in a regional committee member. So I think in this triennium, it's been quite difficult as a regional committee member because of COVID. Things have changed a lot. So we've spent a lot of time in this triennium having to change our plans or having to adapt and being flexible to meet the needs of our member organisations as the globe has really changed. We had a triennium plan when we started, but we had to drastically change what does that look like, and continue to be quite agile and flexible in shifting what those things look like throughout the triennium, because we've been living in a pretty difficult and challenging world the last 3 years. So that has been a challenge, but also a great opportunity, because I think we've been able to connect, and member organisations have been able to connect and share in such different ways during COVID that we would have never seen happen before or seen happen in the past. A personal challenge or difficulty that I think I faced for me is probably the balance of working full-time, also being the chair of the region, and then having a work-life balance, also having time for myself has probably been the biggest personal challenge. So as the chair, it's quite a large commitment taking on this role. And so that's been something has been challenging, but also that I've been working on a lot during this triennium. Sometimes there's times where there's a lot of work to do, but getting the kind of right balance. So for me, for example, I have 2 nights a week where I'm trying to not have WAGs meetings at the moment, so that I have some time for myself as well, and working through what does that look like so that we can all do our best for the region, but also look after ourselves. So they're probably 2 challenges or difficulties from my perspective. Did anyone else want to share from the committee what was difficult or a challenge about being a regional committee member? If you have anything different to share.
I wouldn't, or like challenges or difficulty is one way of putting it, but it could also be how is it different from what we, I think, originally thought we were embarking into. And I think that is something that was beyond our control. because COVID set in, and I think we're probably the first committee that has not, that have not had the chance to meet at all from when we were elected in Taiwan 3 years ago. We've not had the opportunity to meet face to face at all. So all of our meetings and all of our conduct has been done via Zoom or online, emails, WhatsApp, and it's not, well, it is a difficulty as such, but I think it's more, but again there are advantages of that. So if we harness on the positivity of it all, I think we had managed to connect more than we would if we were not in the COVID situation, because we had the chance to explore all kinds of platform and connect with each other and with the MOs. So maybe if it wasn't COVID, we would probably be able to meet up with a member organization perhaps once in our term, but because of COVID, we've all been connecting in very interesting ways that we probably did not expect we would be going into when we first became committee members.
And maybe that's one of the challenges or opportunities we all grew as well, right? Was learning how to use new technology platforms. Like Chem has learned how to use Miro in this training, which you never used before. So that's the other thing as well, learning how to use all of the different online tools that we collaborate and use, which is something I think we probably all have to work on and have learnt throughout this triennium. Did anyone else have any difficulties they wanted to share?
You guys covered everything.
I was just going to say that.
Do we have any more questions from anyone else that they might like to ask about being a regional committee member? How many people can be nominated from each member organisation? So only one person can be endorsed from a member organisation, so one per MO, but we have 6 positions on the regional committee. So, and we have 26 member organisations in the AP region. So that means there could be, we don't expect there would be 26, but up to 26 people who are nominated for 6 different roles, but only one person per country. Any other questions anyone has? I wonder whether Grace Ann or Miriam, would you be happy to share a little bit about what the nominations process looks like and what people go through to be a regional committee, to be a nominee for the regional committee?
So first of all, you have to be nominated, as Bronwyn said, one person per MO. Other MOs can also nominate you. And if, for example, you're nominated by a member organization other than your own, in terms of the forms you need to complete, your MO has to sign a clearance form. So what would happen is you would complete your nomination form, your MO would sign a clearance form, and the MO which is nominating you would nominate you in a different part of the form. If your organization is a federation, then we would expect that the MO consults with the component organizations before sending in a nomination. And the application form comes from the actual MO and not a specific component organization. Okay, and coming from the actual member organization itself, we know then that you're endorsed by the organization and not just a component. So you complete your form, and the deadline has been extended until the 2nd of March. What happens? Well, in terms of the nominations, we are looking for an intergenerational spread. We're looking for some members under 30. And of course, we're looking for older persons so that in terms of experience, in terms of skills, we would have a variety. So on the 2nd of March, when we get your applications, 10 more days to go, correct? So you really need to start to work, and you've heard the exciting testimonies of the members of the AP committee so far who've been working assiduously in the region. And I'm sure many of you want to contribute at this level. And maybe some of you are here who might not be ready right now to contribute at this level, but I would remind you, in another 3 years, there will be another election for regional committee members. And of course, in 2023, there will be election for World Board members. So when we get the applications on the 2nd of March, we will contact you. We'll have a series of conversations, conversations/interviews, but these are not interviews in terms of selection. These are really conversations to ask you more questions. Sometimes people are very, very modest and have done many things, but yet they don't put it on the application form. And often in conversation with candidates, we learn so much. And we're able to say, well, I really think you should add this to your bio here. And we show them what skill or talent that shows. But the conversation is mainly to get a better picture of you and also to help us put you in your best light in the election booklet. Because remember, for the MOs, the main document with your information, your contribution, your vision, your wishes, your dreams for the movement is there. So you want to make sure everything is there. We also, while working on the booklet, we check your references. We ask you to provide 2 references, one professional and one from the guiding world. And so we check on the references just to make sure everything is in order. And usually everything is. After the process of the referees sending in their letters and clearance, then I usually write a letter basically saying that you're confirmed as a candidate. If for any reason we have concerns, then as chair of the nominations committee, I approach the member organization and I voice our concerns. Now, I simply voice concerns. The MO is at liberty to take my concerns and to work on them. But the ultimate responsibility, the ultimate decision, whether somebody goes forward as a nominee, is that of the member organization. Okay, so as I said before, our committee is not one of selection. It is to help you put yourself in the best light, is to help us get to know you and to ensure that you're aware of what you're stepping into in the role. After that, the campaign starts and people have been campaigning in different ways. Sometimes it's through the conference app. Sometimes people do it through WhatsApp, through social media. Sometimes there are moments when you have literally like speed dating, a plethora of variety of ways, and people are quite creative. And as Bronwyn said earlier, one other committee member also said, people have learned different ways to communicate, and the creativity which comes from different people presenting themselves is really impressive, very, very impressive in terms of the use of the technology. So after the campaigning period ends, of course, you're at the regional conference where there is the voting period. In some conferences, and a final decision hasn't been taken in terms of how the candidates will be presented, but during the months in the run-up before the conference, the nominations committee generally gets back to each of the candidates, basically to say, for the conference, you may need to prepare a speech, for example. So we walk with you through from the moment you send in your nomination right up to the conference. And of course, we're always there, and you can reach out to us even after you've been elected. However, most of the time people are so busy that they're not so much in contact with us after election. But it's an exciting process, and I see many people here, and I'm hoping that I'll see some of those names on the nominations forms. Miriam, do you want to add anything?
Thanks, Grayson. Thank you for inviting me to join this webinar for Asia Pacific. I was a member of the Western Hemisphere Committee 10 years ago. So my experience is a little bit, I would say, outdated, because with the pandemic, many changes have come and other new challenges and opportunities, right? But now I would just like to supplement what Grayson is sharing in regards the process and also the involvement of the nominations committee in this path towards the election. So it's truly an opportunity to have someone that will be with you throughout the process. So the nominee won't be alone, right? Will be a sounding board. If there are questions, nominations committee people is available via WhatsApp or through email or for a Zoom conversation. Any question in regards to the process or even the conference, we can support. And if, for instance, we don't have a specific answer that we can offer at any given moment, what we will tell you is a way where you can get your answer for a question you may have, right? That was one thing, just an opportunity to have someone that knows the process, that have been there before, that can offer you a new perspective, as a time for you, just holding a space, really. And that's one thing. Another thing, I just wanted to also talk a bit in regards to the conversations or interviews that Grayson mentioned. It's a really good opportunity for the candidate to express things that maybe in paper is different or difficult to show, right? So throughout the questions that we do during that interview, the candidate also will realize what are the things that could be highlighted in their campaign, for example, right? Those interviews or conversations are not even an hour long, but in my experience, every time we have had those conversations, I noticed that the candidate left that conversation feeling like a little bit more relaxed, more comfortable. There was a time also for questions, so we could answer some questions from each candidate. We also give some input or ideas on what aspects to highlight. If we see that there is something really strong in the person, we will take the opportunity to mention that, you know, you have this, focus on that. And what we do is we try to do it very transparent in trying to offer the same quality to each candidate. So everyone has a good experience and also has equity in the process, right? We try to offer everyone a similar experience through the time of the candidacy. That's what I wanted to share also.
Thank you both, Grace-Anne and Miriam, for sharing. I thought I might ask other members of the committee, how did you find the nominations process? What was that like for you? If anyone wants to share a little bit of their experience.
I can. So how we say that only one MO can nominate one person, right, to run for the regional committee. So if there's more than one person from your MO, then the MO has to decide which one, right? So for our MO, there were more than one that was keen to run. So what happened was that that's an internal application. We submit the application, and then the board, the MO's board, will decide. We'll take a vote and see whose name to put forward. So that was step number one. And then comes the whole process of the completing the form, which is also an interesting form, because it actually really makes you think of what your experiences have been so far in guiding, and how do you want to move forward with regards to the best interest of the region. And it's an interesting form to fill up. I'm sure you've seen the forms, right? It's gone out already. And then comes the interview, right? The interview. And yes, it takes 1 hour plus, I would say. But the whole process then on, I felt that we had the support of the nominations committee, a lot of support, a lot of help as well, with regards to confidence and focusing us on what to be, like you said, highlighting the best of what we have to offer for the region. It was a positive experience, and that's actually a lot that you go through with the process to get up to the point when it's election time. So much so that I feel that it's such a shame that not everyone could just be elected, that the election could just it would have been better if we could just not have an election, because I felt that everybody's gone through such a journey just trying to get to the point of being elected. And I'm sure that process had made everyone grow more in guiding. And so actually, if there was an opportunity for there to be 6 people plus more, or just take everybody, I think that would have been good, though I know it can't happen. But then again, now we have regional volunteers, right? So I mean, at that point when we started, it had not been introduced per se, but now that we have, along the line, we started introducing regional volunteers. So now that we know that there is such a thing as regional volunteers, then at least we could bear in mind that if anybody didn't get through, if we have 12 candidates running, for example, then perhaps the ones that didn't get through the first round could actually still work with the region by being a regional volunteer. But it was a positive experience. Bron, you're muted.
Oh, thanks for sharing, Jem. I guess the other thing is that we also have reserve persons as well. And in the case of those who are not elected, sometimes there's changes in the committee, and that's what happened in this triennium. So Prathana was a reserve person and then ended up on the committee because someone we knew who was initially on the committee was unwell and had to step down from her role. So Prathana stepped in. So there's also I guess changes happen throughout one triennium, and different opportunities for people who are in those reserve roles as well. I guess from my perspective, I found the nominations process really exciting. I felt I learned so much more about WAGs. I learned a lot more about how member organizations in the AP region, but also a lot of things about myself. I think amazing opportunity to reflect and understand more about myself and what's important to me and how I want to present myself to others and go through that kind of process, I think is a very big self-development opportunity, regardless of whether you win and are elected or not. Did anyone else from the committee want to share about their experience being nominated?
Yeah, I have a little experience of the nomination process. Actually, Nepal sent the nominee for the first time for the AP region. So we didn't have anybody experienced in this process. So nobody had that experience of like being nominated and then like the whole process. So it was like, to me, it was like, you know, very new to everything. The people were very new. The process was very new. And the forms and everything were very new to me. And it happened so lately that I had to rush. So when things happened that way, I felt like the things went so much in rush. And as Grace and just mentioned that whatever, sometimes we might miss many points in our bio, in the application, but during the communications and the interviews, yeah, of course, we get opportunities to express ourselves better than what we have written in our application. And sometimes what we feel good at might not be in line with what the region is expecting us to be. And that is also something that we become clear during the conversations. Yeah, of course, though it was my first time, though it was the first experience for my MO as well, sending the nominee, sending the person in the AP region it was new and it was a new experience. Yeah, but it is something to be treasured, because I can now share this with the people who are, you know, like interested to be in the nomination and who like to be in the regional committee as well. And of course, as Chem said, everyone carried the same experience or similar experiences of being in the election platform. And when like all of us had such a close bonding, like when we were in the conference arena, we were all the same. We all had same kind of flames in our heart and same kind of tensions in our mind, because every MOs had a kind of, you know, pressure, like our candidates should win, our candidates should win, you know, like, and, but yeah, of course, the campaigning also was a very, you know, new experience to me, because I never went through that process earlier. So I didn't know how the campaigning is done. And my MO had no idea how campaigning is done in WAGs, in APR. So that was a very big challenge for me. I don't know, because if I become like, you know, lazy in the campaigning, then yeah, I'm gonna, you know, like, yeah, of course, I'm gonna lose this, lots of tensions at the time. But yeah, when you are genuinely presenting yourself and when you have lots of hope and, you know, when you are triggered to do something good, then anybody could be in the committee. At the end, I feel like that. And, you know, being surrounded by good people, supportive people, it's something, the best part of being in the regional committee. And in the whole process, as mentioned earlier, winning is not the goal. Taking part in the process and learning about WAGs and meeting with lots of people, it's something which is a great asset for the whole life. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Maya. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Hi, Bron.
Hello.
And hello, everyone. It's really nice to see all of you here. And I'm really excited. It's early in the morning here, and it's like a good morning meeting for me. So I hope everyone is fine. I would like to ask about the young woman participation in this AP committee. I mean, we all know that in line with Motion 32 passed in the last World Conference, what will be the new arrangements for young women in this new AP committee, and how will be the procedure? Thank you.
Thank you. So in our last triennium, we actually didn't have any young women under 30 nominate for AP committee. However, I was 30. So I was the youngest nominee in the AP region. And I think I've been the youngest chair for AP region before, because being 30 and becoming the regional chair is the first time I think that has happened in the AP region. So I guess in this triennium, we didn't have any under 30-year-old young women. However, we were very conscious then to make sure that our amazing volunteer team across the Asia Pacific was made up of lots of young women. And I think actually the majority of our volunteers who've been supporting the region this triennium have been young women under 30. So what has happened with Motion 32 and what was passed at the World Conference was that 2 young women should be elected to the regional committee under 30 years of age, as far as it's possible to do so. So that is the goal, I guess, for the next triennium, is that we have at least 2 young women who are elected to the regional committee. I don't know whether, Grace Ann, there's anything you want to share from the nominations committee side around young women and that process.
What I would like to share is that I urge you to involve young people in the process. In some regions, it is not usual for young women to assume roles, say, on the regional committee, but the world is changing. And we've seen that in this pandemic, many young people have been called on to step up to the plate, and they've worked hand in hand with others to keep us connected, to keep our member organizations functioning. And so there's a lot of talent out there. It is just a case where perhaps it has not been the tradition to have an under 30, but things change. The only constant is change in life. And so I do urge you, some organizations, the leadership approaches the young person and the young person waits until asked. But sometimes leadership doesn't know that that young person might be interested. And so I say it's a two-way street. And, you know, young people out there, come forward and let your leadership know that you're interested. They would have trained you, they would have walked with you. And so they need to show the confidence in you. You've been prepared on this leadership journey for a while. WAGs, we grow leaders. And so it's just to have that chance. But yes, every effort will be made to have persons under 30. And I'm sure that in the AP region, there will be under 30s as well. And as Miriam added, she was under 30 in the Western Hemisphere when she was elected to the committee.
Yeah. And I would say, I think in the AP region, at a regional level, we've been very conscious of trying to put young women in the lead and taking the lead in a lot of our volunteer roles, but also in our regional conference, we're hoping to have lots of young women kind of leading our sessions and helping us planning the conference as well. I'm not sure the details of how that will work in the elections process around the young women under 30, but that is something when it gets closer to the regional conference and the elections that we can share exactly what that would look like. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from anyone else before we finish? There we go, Darshana. Please
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, I wanted to ask how many applications can a MO put forward? Do we have to put 2 applications, one in the under 30 category, one in the over 30 category, or what is it? Is there
Only
any
one total.
only one in total?
Yes. So a member organization can only endorse one nominee.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Do we have any other questions from anyone else before we finish up? If not, we might finish there. We've also recorded this session as well, so we'll make sure to share that with our member organizations, but also we might put it up on our regional YouTube channel for people to watch who might not have been able to join. Did you have one more question, Manas? I saw you pop up on my screen. Any more questions? If not, what we might do is Putri, who manages our social media, she was hoping we might take a group photo to put on our social media of those who've come along. So if you're happy to be part of a group photo, if you want to put your camera on and smile, and Prathana or Putri, are you okay to take the group photo for us?
Yes, I will be taking the group photo. We'll give few seconds for them to switch on their cameras, and then we should be able to. Okay, let me take now. Smile, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let me. I have taken. Give me a minute to check whether I have taken it. Yes, we are good.
Well, thank you so much for everyone joining us today. We really appreciate the time that you've taken, and also our representatives from the nominations committee for joining us and sharing a little bit about that process and their experiences. We really appreciate you all coming along and for your interest in the regional committee, and we hope that we see many applications from the people that are here. If anyone does have any questions, they're more than welcome. I'm going to put my email in the chat as well. If anyone has any more questions around what's it like being on the regional committee or what we do as part of the regional committee, that you can send me through an email and we can answer questions people might have. So thanks so much everybody for joining us, and we hope that we see many of you nominating for the roles that we have. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Hope to meet all of you soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace, Anne, and Miriam.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's only us. I think Maya left.
Well done, ladies. Well done.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, Grace Anne and Miriam, particularly at this time of night for you.
No worries.
Thank you for invitation. Thank you very much.
Give me a minute to stop recording, please. Yes.